first story is titled, Am I the a-hole for asking my sister to leave after she tried to kick me out of my own house? My 26 female sister, who I'll call Emily, moved in with her husband 29 male, who I'll call Roger, 2 years back. Emily and I were never very close, but we were family nonetheless. Recently, they decided to get their house renovated, and because it's been quite disastrous at their place, they asked if they could move in with me last week. I was a little shocked because we haven't spoken in a while, but I said it would be fine with me. Then Emily wanted to have a talk. She asked if her and Roger could have the place to themselves on Christmas Day and Christmas Eve. I asked where she thinks I can go, and her response, I don't know, get a motel. She continued to tell me how I can afford a couple days in a motel and it won't kill me. She told me it's nothing against me. It's just that they have their own traditions and like to spend a holiday together. They chose to get their house renovated during this time knowing it would interfere with their Christmas traditions. So I asked them to leave. I can't put my life on hold and move out because they want to spend a holiday with each other. They won't be homeless. My parents took them in, but they called me absolutely infuriated because I refused to let them stay and wouldn't let them enjoy the holiday after all the trouble they went through with the renovations. Am I the a-hole? And now let's read the top comments. Not the a-hole. I'm not even sure how you could possibly think you're the a-hole here. What an audacious thing to ask you to do. I didn't, until my parents made me feel like the Grinch. Ask them how they'd feel being asked to leave their own home during Christmas and pay for their own motel to do so, nonetheless. I'm a guest. Not the a-hole. Wow. What self-entitled a-holes. Leave your home on Christmas Eve and Christmas, please, because we have our own traditions. Not the a-hole. I'm starting a new Christmas tradition of kicking freeloaders out of my house. There's the door. If it hits you on the way out, it's a Christmas bonus. Not the a-hole. That's just insane. Who asks that? Be happy someone is letting you stay at their place for a while. Will they ask your parents to leave their own home now so they can have their Christmas? Or is it just you who they would ask this of? Not the a-hole. Your sister is off her rocker. Your parents are out of line too. If her and her husband want to be alone for the holiday, they can go to a hotel. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for making my late wife's daughter move out so I can date in peace? My late wife passed away about a year ago. We were together 10 years, but not married until she became sick about a year before that. She has a daughter, Beth, who is 19 years old. Beth is taking college classes, but they are 100% online, so she has stayed at home, which is my house. I've owned this before my wife moved in, so it was never technically shared. I've wanted to be supportive of Beth, but don't want her here indefinitely or until she's done with college. That's 3 more years, and it makes dating super awkward. I had a lady friend over after a dinner date last week, and she was snarky towards her, and later told me I'm moving on too fast. I tried to have an honest talk about being ready to move on and date others, but she kept calling me an a-hole. I'm just ready to move on with my life, but her presence is making that difficult. I told her I want her to move out at the end of this next semester, which would be the end of May, so 5 full months to find a place. She flipped out and told me I'm abandoning her to get laid. This isn't really the case. I just want to move on to my life and don't want to live with a 19-year-old any longer. She's still mad at me and is making living in my own home awkward, but she claims she can't afford to go anywhere else. Edit. I did not raise or adopt Beth. My wife was very clear that she was not looking for a replacement father for her. Beth never lived with me until 2 years ago and she was almost 18, when her mom moved in with me due to her being sick and needing more attention. I never played a fatherly role in her life. Before moving in, she and her mom moved every few years for a while. Beth didn't move in till her senior year of high school because her mom needed my help. Obviously, couldn't move the mom in without a daughter. Before giving her notice to leave, I tried to have a talk about ground rules for staying here, mostly including being polite to any guests of mine. She then went off on me for moving on with my life. That is when I made my decision. It wasn't exactly your traditional marriage. Before getting sick, my late wife never wanted to get married because her parents had such a nasty one, and her parents have been divorced a combined 4 times. I'm not religious, so never felt a need to get married either. When she got sick, we realized her insurance was terrible while mine through work is much better. So it was a practical decision to get married so she could be added to mine. Even then, she affirmed I wasn't responsible for Beth. I'm not just trying to get laid like many have said. I'm moving on and trying to have a normal adult relationship. Now for the comments. You're the a-hole. Wow, this is every dying parent's nightmare. Edit. Opie's belated edit isn't changing anything about this you're the a-hole vote. Truly, my first thought when I read this. Not the a-hole. If I am reading this correctly, you and Beth's mother were involved for years but did not marry or live together until she became ill. You were not a pivotal figure in Beth's life. You don't consider her a daughter and you don't believe she considers you a father figure. When your deceased wife got ill, you and she married, in part so you could support her. She and Beth moved into your home that you already owned. About a year later, your wife passed away. Beth was almost 18 at the time. After your wife passed away, and Beth stayed living with you for the next year. You are now ready to date again, and it has been a year and Beth resents this. You do not want Beth to continue to live with you. You supported your wife when she needed you. You helped Beth for over a year. You have done more than could have reasonably been asked. Totally not the a-hole. This is how I read it too. Beth is not Opie's problem nor responsibility. Time for her to go live her own life. All these you're the a-hole responses are baffling. Edit. Especially since Beth inherited $20,000. She's hardly going out onto the street. You're the a-hole. She's not your late wife's daughter. She's your stepdaughter. I don't know. My mom got remarried when I was 17. I don't whatsoever consider her husband my stepdad, since he had no part in raising me. Pretty much all my friends with parents who got remarried around that age or older feel the same. Final response. After this blew up overnight, even though the top comment says you're the a-hole, it seems everyone who actually read all the details has affirmed my view. I feel much better about my decision. Thank you, everybody. On to the next story. Am I the a-hole for not letting my boyfriend's family move in with us? Okay, I've talked to some people and received conflicting views, so I'm bringing it here. My 30 female and my boyfriend, 32 male, have been together for 4 years. We have 2 kids and 1 on the way. His family barely speaks to him unless they want money or favors from him. Now, me and my boyfriend's relationship is great. However, his family, mom, stepdad, brother, sister-in-law, and their son, have found themselves in a situation where they are losing their homes and want to move in. I said no, even though my boyfriend wants to help and doesn't want them homeless. Background. I have no problems with his family at all. I love them a lot. The problem is that they have lived with us before under similar circumstances. We got a house, and because of their situation, they moved in it before we did. Mind you, I had my second child and brought her home to that house a week after they moved in. They never helped with bills, although that was discussed prior. They never cleaned, they used our car, refused to get jobs, ate our food, destroyed our new daughter's things, etc. They literally ran us into the ground financially and mentally. When they moved out, they took half of our stuff without permission. It was very rough on me and my boyfriend's relationship for a lot of reasons. Fast forward to now, and we have a house that will be a little crowded once my new child gets here. But other than that, financially we are doing better. They're guilt-tripping my boyfriend to move in, because we have the means to help them and they want to help with the grandkids. But honestly, I don't want a repeat of last time, and I want my family to enjoy the new addition without the extra stress. I've offered to help in any way we can. Again, I do love them, and will do almost anything shy of letting them move in. It's causing some friction between us and his family, and my boyfriend is kind of stuck in the middle. I don't want them homeless or struggling, but man, I just cannot do it again. Am I the a-hole? Edit. Just to clarify, my boyfriend agrees with me. The problem for him is that they are relentless in their constant attacks of him, and are literally holding any and everything against him, to the point that he considered it mainly so it could stop. He loves his mom and brother, and the thought of them homeless does freak him out a little. The family came to me because they thought they could get in that way. They are essentially making us both feel like a-holes for not allowing them to move in, so close to Christmas with no other options, and enjoying Christmas while they barely have food. Their words. Now for the top comments. I know this will be unpopular and downvoted to oblivion, but if this household has 4 physical capable adults, and between the 4 of them is repeatedly unable to pay for basic shelter, there is a bigger issue. Money mismanagement, addiction, laziness, poor planning. Whatever this issue is, something major is behind these bouts of homelessness, and since apparently none of them has identified or addressed it, it's unlikely to get better in the near future. Yes, there is a pandemic causing huge unemployment, which makes things much harder for everybody. But again, between 4 adults, there should be at least one of them who can find some sort of income from some source. You've already tried helping them by letting them move in, so you know exactly what it will be like. They will not clean, contribute, or take care of your things, adding only chaos to your house. You can't solve their issue for them. You can only sort of help them at great cost to yourself and to your children. Is this what you want your children to see and learn? Not an a-hole if you don't let them move in. See, that was my thoughts too. We tried lending money, doing everything we could. They're honestly kind of lazy, and feel that since we have money and decent jobs, we should be helping them. That's the issue my boyfriend faces in their constant picking at him, and using their love against him because he's not providing for them in their time of need. I honestly feel so bad for him because they are relentless, which is the only reason he even kind of considered it. Thank you for this. I felt so guilty. Not an a-hole. You tried this before and they abused your generosity. You don't need to try this again. This is something you need to agree on with your boyfriend. It can cause a major relationship problem if it goes untreated. Right or wrong, think about how much you want to fight this. Not an a-hole. You have been down this road and have no desire to do it again. Boyfriend needs to get out of the middle and get on your side, particularly if they literally stole from you and did not honor the agreements last time. It sounds like a traumatic experience. The first time around you could say you didn't know how it would be, but now you know. The freeloaders stole from you. What's even the question here for the boyfriend? He's outside his mind. You know better, so do better. This means saying a hard no and reconsidering your boyfriend as a partner if he is even entertaining the idea. OP is not the a-hole. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to financially support my parents any longer? My parents, early 50 and healthy, both refuses to work. I have been supporting them financially for a couple of years now, but my husband, and frankly me too, are getting a bit tired of this, especially with a child on the way. A bit of background. My birth mother died when I was 3, and I've been raised by my paternal grandparents, who also supported me financially. My dad remarried my stepmom and moved to the other side of the country. We only used to see each other for a few days a year. I only lived with my parents between 16 and 18, then started college and later moved with my then boyfriend, now husband. During this time, I supported myself with academic grants and freelance work. On my relationship with my parents, they haven't been abusive, just unsupportive and absent most of the time. I feel bad to say this, but they never had any ambitions in life, and were perfectly fine not to work, just do occasional gigs and be supported by my grandparents. I guess they were just never good at adulting, and not having the responsibility to raise a child didn't help. When I started pursuing a career in computer science, they told me I'm not smart enough to succeed and that I shouldn't bother getting an academic degree. 10 years later, I'm really successful in my career. Me and my husband are doing great financially. We paid all our debt, got a beautiful house we already paid for, and have some solid savings. My parents often tell me it was pure luck that I'm doing so great, not all the work and effort I put into it. Despite being free all day and living in the same city, they refuse to come feed my pets when we go on vacations, because they are busy and have other stuff to do. So I have to pay my cleaner extra to come and feed her. And yes, we hire a cleaner and a cook, despite the fact that my mother is free all day and could help out. Meanwhile, my mother-in-law sometimes helps us with these things, despite having a career herself and multiple children. They call themselves intellectuals, even though they haven't read a book in decades, can't even spell properly and watch bad TV all day long. When I told them that I won't be supporting them anymore in 3 months' time, They call me egotistic and a witch that only thinks about herself, and that I forgot how much they did for me. Literally nothing. They even went so far as to accuse me of the fact that I'm willing to spend a lot of money on expensive treatments for my old, sick, and helpless 18-year-old cat. A creature who is completely dependent on me as its caretaker, but not on them. They also got pissed that I gave my old MacBook to my cleaner's child instead of them, after they broke the iPad I gave them in a few days. I obviously don't want and won't let them starve and be homeless, but am I the a-hole for wanting them to be more independent and not completely rely on me? Or at least not to be so entitled and feed my cat from time to time? Not the a-hole. Why are you supporting them in the first place, when it's clear they've never really supported you in any way? You don't owe them this. Cut them off. You can't be gentle about it and say something like, I care for you both, but the family I've created with husband and soon-to-be kidlet deserves all my attention right now. I've done what I can for you, or something to that effect. You teach people how to treat you, and you've taught your parents that you are a doormat/piggy bank. Until you change your behavior, they have no incentive to change theirs. Not a a-hole, and no. The answer to people like your parents is to ignore them and move on with your life. They aren't even worth this thought. Don't expect anything from them and they cannot disappoint you. Block them from your life and move on. Let them starve and be homeless. They aren't your obligation. They aren't old or disabled. Or at least not be so entitled and feed my cat from time to time. I wanted to add to this. Make sure you do not live in a filial responsibility state. While there are many states that have this law, Pennsylvania and North Dakota are two states that have well-known trial cases. Not an a-hole. If they're homeless and starving, chances are they'll get a job. You're enabling this behavior by supporting them. Honestly, you're hurting them more than you're helping them.